We're back. It's Alexis. It's Rodrigo. This is LaLiga Centro. I think my flowers are dying in the background there. I just saw that. Maybe I can kind of block them. But anyways, one thing that's not dying is the action that we've seen in La Liga so far. A pretty packed weekend coming up. I know everyone's thinking about Champions League action this week because it's back, but I'm going to be in Madrid, Rodri. You're going elsewhere. I don't know if we can disclose that. So you're stopping.
Yeah, no, I'm going to Qatar because I have
must be nice.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice because, once you go to Qatar World Cup, I will already know where you're going to face there. So this is an important trip for you too. So that's why I'm going there.
I've already been there. Been there,
really?
Done that.
Oh, I didn't know that. So tell me what I'm going to face. Come on.
I went for the draw. You know this. Been there, done that. Anyway, so Rodri's off to Qatar. So I've got double duty. For our ESPN coverage in La Liga. I'll be in Madrid for the two Madrid teams that are going head-to-head in some pretty big matches. Well, I guess Real Madrid have Mallorca, with all due respect to Mallorca, but you never know. You try to say every match is a big one. But before that, Atletico de Madrid against Celta Vigo. We'll look ahead to those in just a bit. But let's look back at the action that was, because some pretty interesting results, Rodri. I mean, I want to start off, I suppose, with the most impressive win of the weekend, and that was Barcelona-Sevilla, which for me, I always say is a partidazo. It's a big match, but where was Sevilla?
completely lost. I mean, Sevilla lost the plot last year, I think, for me, and that's why now they are collecting what they did in the past 2 years. I know that all the Sevilla fans would say, like, why are you asking for Sevilla if they got to qualify for the Champions League? But as I've always said, Sevilla had to do even more, because I was so sure that if they've improved a little bit by the end of the last 2 seasons, they would have faced Real Madrid to win the title. I am so sure about that. So that's why, when I saw the the way Sevilla was going down last season, I was like, okay, this is the end of Lopetegui. And now, when they had to stop that relationship in between Lopetegui and Sevilla, now you have to face this worst La Liga beginning on its history. So that's why it's so weird and so sad for Sevilla fans.
It is so sad. And I mean, for everyone, we'll stick a pin because we're going to talk more in depth about Barcelona and Real Madrid in another segment. But we do want to really focus on, these two teams in Sevilla that actually went in action on the two biggest teams, I suppose, of La Liga that we know worldwide. But I have mad love for Sevilla. And I literally just got the memory on my phone that last year, this week, I was sitting down in Sevilla with Ivan Rakitic, talking about the ambitions, and he was saying that they've gone from just saying we want to finish top 4, that would be nice, that's a trophy in and of itself, like Arsene Wenger used to say about Arsenal, and now they've gone to wanting to win and wanting to challenge, and they did do that last season to a certain extent, and then they just took a slip and kind of kept falling. But now, just if you had to put your finger on one thing on what's been going wrong, because it's not just been a loss against Barcelona. I think if we saw this loss against Barcelona last season, nobody would be surprised. Yes, we did expect Barcelona to beat Sevilla, but it's comes from the fact that everyone's beating Sevilla now, literally, like Almeria, with all due respect.
Yeah, they're struggling a lot because, they don't have players, good enough to face the competition. I think they're not in shape. By the way, I thought you were going to say that 1 year ago you were sitting with me in Sevilla eating San Gazpacho on Salmorejo. But
Ivan Rakitic.
Yeah, I'm not famous. I know that. No problem. I still love you anyway. It doesn't matter.
It's okay. I got you over, Ivan. Hopefully he's not watching this. He probably doesn't want to watch this because he also must be, you see his frustration too. You see his frustration.
Yeah, no, that's kind of sad for Sevilla players, because I know they are really good and they are really nice. But when I say that they are not good enough for Sevilla, I say that they are not good enough for this Sevilla, because I think they are in a mess now, because I'm not really sure if Lopetegui knows what he wants, and I'm not really sure if the club even know what they want. So that's why, if you mix everything inside the club, the result is what we are attending to in this La Liga beginning, which is awful for Sevilla fans, who at the end are the ones that are struggling and suffering this situation.
Do you know what's funny too? Because again, this time last year when I did this interview with Rakitic, I also got to speak, to the president of La Liga. We didn't get to speak to Monchi yet, but we know that everyone respects Sevilla as well as Monchi for the signings that they've made, the scouting that they do, and that they bring to Sevilla. As a matter of fact, we wrote that piece with Sam Marsden, our ESPNFC colleague, which is now up for an award. It has won an award at Sevilla. So this is something that, people have respected Sevilla for. So now how do you fast forward a year later and it's all gone wrong? Do you think Lopetegui's closer? I mean, we know the mad respect we have for Lopetegui overall. But do you think he's closer to the exit than he is to safety?
Yes, because unless a miracle happens, I'm afraid that right after this weekend, Julian Lopetegui could be out of Sevilla. And I'm saying this because, they lost the first game against Osasuna. They draw against Valladolid home. They lost again against Almeria. They lost home against Barcelona. They're going to face Man City this week, which I think is going to be, kind of struggling for Sevilla. And they're going to travel to Barcelona to face Espanyol, which is a really difficult side for Sevilla when they play in a way. So that's why, if they lose this weekend, for me, and I'm going to be really sad for Lopetegui because I think he's a really nice coach, but I think he will be out because this is something that Sevilla couldn't stand, because the fans and the pressure could be something unstoppable.
Yeah, it's tensions are running high at Sevilla, or so we've heard, because and it breaks my heart because, as I said, I have mad love for Sevilla. I think it's just because I like to go to Andalusia and try all the salmorejo. We do love that. We do our food and football tours. And if nobody's ever been to a Sevilla match, you need to go to a Sevilla match at home, because their anthem at the beginning, I won't sing it because I've got a bit of a hoarse voice today, but it is the most beautiful song I think I've ever seen. Playtime.
La lengua antigua.
So beautiful. Yeah. Oh, es por eso que hoy vengo a verte.
Hey, you got it. Yeah. You're a good singer.
I was in the
sing
choir.
A little bit more.
I was in the church choir. Don't you worry.
Gospel.
Karaoke in Sevilla. Hopefully we can go and lift their spirits. But Barcelona don't need any spirits lifting. Like I said, they smashed this one once again. We're gonna speak a lot more about Barcelona, but what impressed you the most about this win, Rodri?
Once again, Lewandowski. He's the guy. He's the guy, and he's the signing of this season for La Liga, not only for Barca but for La Liga, because he's the kind of guy that Barca needed and the kind of striker that La Liga needed. Because when you talk about Real Madrid, about Benzema's quality or Vinicius' quality, you went crossing the road and you would see Barcelona without nothing last season, and now they have Rafinha, they have Dembele, who is back at his best, and then you have Lewandowski, that he's the guy that links everyone. So the guy that scores and the guy that smiles. I love the way that he smiles every single moment of the game outside the pitch. I'm in love with him.
Honestly, though, he is such a joy to watch. You can see when someone's really enjoying their football. And I think that's something that we haven't seen at Barcelona for a while. Even when Messi was playing towards the end, you could see he just wasn't enjoying himself there. And it was more, frustration. And there was all those emotions of what was going on behind the scenes. And now this is the first time that I think Barcelona seem happiest. And I think it shows, like, obviously on the pitch and with the results. And this is even better because, with El Clasico coming up, that's going to be probably much more of an exciting contest than any of us have expected. So like I said, we're going to speak more about Barcelona in just a bit, but let's move on to their El Clasico rivals, Real Madrid, who did what Real Madrid do, and that's just win. All I do is win, no matter what. This time it came against another team from Sevilla, Real Betis. I know you're close there, Rodri, especially to Borja, who actually was pretty decent in that match, providing the assist that led to Betis's goal. But again, Real Madrid did exactly what they do, but Betis put up quite a good fight.
It was a funny game. Definitely. I enjoy it a lot because You could see how Real Madrid attacks and defends as a block, as they did last season, which is something that Ancelotti has improved even a little bit more with Rudiger and with Tchouaméni. We'll talk about Tchouaméni sooner, because I think he's the guy that Real Madrid needed, because he's young, he's good, he has that power that Real Madrid needed in the midfield. But Real Madrid made the match the kind of game that they needed to make, so that's why they won. I think they did a complete game, but in front of you have Betis, which is a great side, and I was in the first half wondering, like, my God, how Betis have grown up to that level in which you could see Betis facing whoever. Doesn't really matter who are you playing against. The Betis is there and they're playing their style, So that's why they play both teams back and forth, attacking, defending, and it was a funny game, definitely. And I really enjoy the way Real Madrid faced Betis, and I enjoy the way Betis struck back Real Madrid, because they did it really, really well.
And I mean, last season at one point we were talking about Sevilla and Betis being the ones providing Real Madrid with the biggest competition, given what was going on with Barcelona, and Betis found themselves closer to Madrid than anybody else. Of course, things went wrong after, but they still enjoyed a good season, finishing 5th. They won the Copa del Rey, which was massive for them. Do you feel like because of last season, expectations have been higher for Betis now this season, probably unreasonably higher?
No, for me, no, because they've proved in this La Liga starting that they're going to be up there for sure, and mostly when you see Sevilla, that is not at their best. Doesn't really matter what happens in the next weeks with Lopetegui, but they know what they are able to do, and they know what they can do, because they did it last season, and I think that they even believe even more in themselves. They didn't get like big signings, because they were expecting Bellerin to be back in the squad, because it was Bellerin's priority to go back to Sevilla and play for Betis, but they didn't get any big signings, so they are the same group. They are they behave in between them, they get along so well. They look more a family than a locker room, which is the good thing of all, and that's why they're gonna smile together, they're gonna cry together, they play well together, and they're gonna be even better than last year for sure. And for me, they're one of the teams that are gonna be fighting for getting in the Champions League next year.
You mentioned Bellerin, and I've got a lot of time for Bellerin and his style. Oh my days, he looks.
We're gonna make something with Bellerin. I will talk to him, because it would be great.
When he arrived at Barcelona in his like high-waisted dad jeans with the top,
it's someone different. And this is something that La Liga needed, because I remember one day I was talking to some Betis players, in plural, and they were saying like Bellerin was so important for last year Betis that they wanted him to be back, because he was important for not only for what we saw on the pitch, but what we didn't see off the pitch. He was so important, the guy that linked everyone, the guy who was always smiling. If you had any problem, he would face it for you, and he was a leader, a real proper leader.
He's a proper leader on and off the pitch, especially in the fashion industry. Absolutely got all the time in the world for Bellerin. Maybe we're gonna have to get him for LaLiga Centro.
Sure.
We'll get that working. All right, well, we're going to talk more about Real Madrid. So let's move on to another Real club, and that's Real Sociedad. They went up against Atletico de Madrid, and they managed to get a draw, because Atleti looked like they were going to go away with this one. They had a goal disallowed, which everyone was not happy about. I think Koke after said he doesn't understand what referees want to do anymore. It's so funny, because everyone complains over here in the Premier League that they don't know how to do it right with VAR, but we know that San Sebastian is never easy to go to and play, and especially with the roller coaster of a season Atletico de Madrid have been having, or 2 seasons rather they've been having. What did you think of this one?
I don't remember a big team like Atletico de Madrid complaining about referees in the third leg of the league. I was like, they were complaining now. Once you see the game, they are right, because mostly the last play of the game, it was like, why the referee doesn't let the play finish? So after that, depending on if they have scored or not, they're gonna say, okay, that was foul before, so we're gonna take the VAR. I don't really understand that, and I don't really understood why they got the disallowed goal, and they said that Real Sociedad's goal was legal, and it was the same with the hand.
It was the same.
Yeah, I don't really understand the VAR sometimes, but you gotta respect referees. But it sounded so strange to me that in the third leg of the league they were complaining about that, and they're not only complaining about by what Coque said right after the game. It was even Tomás Reñones, who is the team manager of Atletico Madrid, complaining about in the Atletico Madrid media own media terms of communication or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was like, my God, we're still in August and they're complaining about this. What will they say by the end of the season?
I mean, well, it's obviously been a couple of matches now since we last spoke about Atletico Madrid, and it went from doom and gloom, but I feel like they have improved a little bit. They have at least fought back a lot, I feel. And then, a certain Alvaro Morata looks like he's on to something. I know we're not entirely convinced yet, and we're not entirely convinced that it's going to be enough yet. But between him as well as Griezmann, they've put out some decent performances. Are you seeing more of an improvement to kind of calm down all of the worries that the fans had even just 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I understand fans, and I understand in this case because you mentioned him, Morata. I know that Alvaro struggled a lot because he didn't feel comfortable in the first era at his Atletico Madrid years. But now he's like more calmed down. And I think like the rest of the team, they're like, okay, we have enough quality. We have enough to prove this year, because last year was awful for Atletico Madrid. And despite this bad year for them, they got till the third position of the Liga. So that's why I think Morata is like the example of this Atletico Madrid. I remember when I was in Valencia after Atletico Madrid-Valencia game in Mestalla, I talked with Simeone, and he told me like he was delighted by Morata's performances. And I asked him why. And he said, like, not only because he's scoring a lot of goals in this La Liga beginning, but also because he's defending a lot, which is something that he asked Morata for. And that's something really interesting in terms that Morata is growing up a lot as a player. And now that he has more experience, now he's more calm down to say, okay, I'm not only going to score, but I am going to make some different things to help the team to grow up, which is something that Atletico Madrid needed.
Diego Simeone asking his players all to defend. It is amazing. I do love that, man. One, of course, area of concern is Jan Oblak. He was involved in a bit of a nasty collision there, but we are hearing that he probably won't be in Champions League action, but he should be back for the weekend. Fingers crossed. That's the match I'll be going to against Celta de Vigo, which again is no pushover team at all. This is going to be a pretty big test for Atletico de Madrid again.
You know that the main star of Celta de Vigo is Domingos Paciencia, who is a Portuguese guy who came in this year, and he's one of the best strikers in La Liga. You know that he was so desperate. I think it was like, I don't remember if that was this weekend or 2 weekends ago, that he smashed the wall. He hit the wall and he broke his hand.
Oh.
Yeah, it was something like, why are you so desperate? I mean, like Atletico Madrid, we mentioned before, why are you so desperate? This is only the beginning of La Liga.
There's so many more instances for you to smash your hand, mate.
Yeah,
this is the one.
Yeah, and he got injured. I don't know how long he will be out of the fields, but it was a pity because the first 2 games of Paciencia, he was so nice, and he proved that he was going to make so many goals for Celta. Then now it's like, man, you got to start off again once you recover.
Exactly. Oh my days. Well, that's going to be a big match. It will be on ESPN. We'll be there. So hope you guys tune in, of course, if you're in the US. Let's move on quickly to another athletic club, but this time not of Madrid, of Bilbao, Athletic Club. Iñaki Williams, we have to talk about him. What an absolute player. Thrilled for him now. He's been officially called up to represent Ghana. If nobody knows about his story, we've got tons of his story on ESPN, written pieces, amazing story. We know that originally his mom, of course, is from Ghana. They came over as refugees from Spain, to Spain rather. And yeah, he's plied his trade there. Unreal record so far. This man just does not get injured, and knock on wood, he never does. And even if he does pick up a knock like he did, you know, in the last match, we were worried that he wasn't going to be able to play this past weekend, and then his streak was going to come to an end. It's been a streak that's been going, I think, since about 2016. It's unbelievable. Over 200.
He's not a human being.
He's not a human being. He is a massive, massive key player. You know, him and his brother, of course, Nico Williams. Athletic Club, though, suffered that loss at the weekend. They, of course, I love their story as well. You know, again, for any of our viewers that don't know much about them, they're only allowed to field players from the Basque country, so they can't even dream like the other clubs of signing players like Kylian Mbappe or Karim Benzema. Only players born and raised there. So that, some would say, puts them at a deficit, or it's a weakness for them, but they really are a strength. But Iñaki Williams is very special, choosing to play for Ghana, we know, especially for his family and whatnot. But do you think Spain are missing out on something there with him, especially now in a World Cup year? So we're thinking of, you know, teams.
Spain, I think, is waiting for his young brother, Nico Williams, who everyone says that is even better than Iñaki Williams. The thing is that everyone might be wondering why Iñaki Williams, he made his debut for Spain national team some years ago against Bosnia, is now allowed to change and switch the national team to Ghana, to Black Stars. The thing is that if you are younger than 21 years and you play less than 3 games, international games, now you are allowed, you know, in the future to switch the national team. So that's why he's going to play for Ghana if the national coach wants him to be at the Qatar World Cup, which is something that I think that he will make him to travel there. Anyway, Williams in Spain, he never got to get to the national team with that regularity that we wanted him to, and that's why I think, you know, we miss something else from Iñaki Williams. I think he's really nice for Athletic de Bilbao, but the thing is that when he was so young, he was at that level that everyone was expecting him to be even better and even more massive, and I think he missed some steps in between, and now he's really well, because I think he's really good, you know, playing for Athletic Club de Bilbao. But now it's like, okay, maybe you're not ready to hire adventures like Spain's national team or Real Madrid, Barcelona, even Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich. Is something for so many big European clubs in the past. But now it's like, okay, I'm good at Athletic de Bilbao, and this is like my place. So that's why I'm not going to move, and I'm not going to grow, maybe.
It'll be interesting if of course Spain do call up his brother Nico Williams and they ever do play against Ghana. I think the only time we saw that was with like Kevin Prince Boateng and Jerome Boateng, when obviously Jerome chose to play for Germany and Kevin Prince for Ghana as well. So brothers going against each other. It'd be interesting, but he's definitely a special player and definitely one to watch, of course. All right, well, El Clasico, which is coming on ESPN, is just about 5 weeks away. More excited for this edition of El Clasico than I think we were for the last 2, given the troubles Barcelona had. Real Madrid, of course, had everything right. So let's look in depth, I suppose, at the 2 top teams, even though we have 5 weeks to go, but we like to get previous here. Starting with Real Madrid, Rodrigo, because they are absolutely perfect so far. They're finally back at the Santiago Bernabeu. We're shocked they won again, as we touched on about against Real Betis. But thoughts on, I guess, just how Real Madrid are once again, I know this sounds like we shouldn't be surprised, but how they really still are looking unbeatable, almost untouchable. I think for me, what I've enjoyed seeing is the rotation that Carlo Ancelotti has done with the team. We know Carlo Ancelotti is not one to tinker too much with his, you know, starting 11s. But now I think, of course, Real Madrid did make some signings in the summer transfer window, but with everything that was going on with Barcelona, not necessarily was it overshadowed, but a little bit, you know, because apart from maybe Rudiger, there wasn't any that was like, wow, this is a main key player, you know. But when they had won La Liga and the Champions League, you know what they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But for example, you know, in the match against Betis, we saw Rodrigo get a start, your namesake, but with a Y. I got a lot of time for Rodrigo. We saw Dani Carvajal come back in, you know, Camavinga as well getting switched out and in that midfield. But someone we definitely have to talk about who's hit the ground running too is Tchouaméni. You've been very impressed by him, haven't you?
He's massive. I mean, he's gonna be the key player for Real Madrid in the next 10 years for me. And I know that all the people here would comment like, what are you talking about? He's only like, 3 games at Real Madrid has only played, but he's so good. He's so good. He may forget Casemiro in less than 2 legs of this La Liga, which is something great. And this is something that not all the players could make. So that's why for me, he's like, he's really intelligent. He's very powerful in terms that, physically, I mean, he's someone that he's not from this planet. I mean, if you see him, when you see him in person, you would say like, my God, this guy is so big, so great. And that's why, when Casemiro left to Man United, everyone in Madrid were like, why are Real Madrid not gonna sign anyone? And Real Madrid said to all the people like, we don't need to sign anyone because we do trust in Tchouaméni, and that's why we pay more than 80 million euros for Tchouaméni. We trust on him, and he's going to be the key player in this defensive midfield for Real Madrid this year, despite the fact that they don't have a natural replacement for Tchouaméni, because in that term, the Real Madrid has the same problem that they had with Casemiro, because Casemiro was so tired in the past 2-3 seasons because he didn't have any replacement. And now Tchouaméni, he will have the same problem, and Real Madrid will face that problem with Camavinga trying to get him back to replace Tchouaméni in some plays or in some games, and he will try Ancelotti to get even back to Toni Kroos to that position. Let's see how they evolutionate in this way. But the good thing of Real Madrid this year is that they managed to rotate a little bit more, because the youngsters have grown a little bit more, like Valverde, like Camavinga, like Rodrigo, and now I think they are, more than ready than last year to play a little bit more and give some rest to Modric, Kroos, Benzema, or whoever.
I mean, it is amazing because I remember, of course, being in Vigo when that news dropped about Casemiro going to Manchester United, and I got to speak to some of the Real Madrid fans and they were heartbroken naturally, because Casemiro, I mean, he felt like one of their own. He's spent majority of his career at Madrid. He's won whatever it was that they needed to win, and then did it all over again and again. So, but what I realized is that they were heartbroken sentimentally. But they were actually, in terms of what was going on the pitch, they weren't that worried. And I think that's what Ancelotti was trying to say.
They understood that Casemiro was 30 years old, and Man United were offering so much money, like almost 70 million euros for a guy that won everything at Real Madrid. So they were like, okay, it's not a bad sell for Real Madrid, and we have Tchouaméni, and you have to be confident on Tchouaméni. So that's why they weren't that worried at all.
So as you said, though, it's not a like-for-like replacement for Casemiro. And even, Ancelotti did say he could never ask Tchouaméni or anybody else in that midfield right now to play like Casemiro. So are we saying that even though a figure like Casemiro, and, we spoke to Vinny Jr. after that match, and he even said that it just made them feel better knowing that they had someone like him. He called him like a bit of a godfather, like that big brother that, if anyone came after you, he would be the first one running to help defend you. Are we saying that Real Madrid then don't necessarily need that kind of presence? Or maybe you'd like to see them get someone like Casemiro back in that 11, or at least in the squad, maybe in January or next summer?
No, I don't see that. I don't see Real Madrid signing a guy, to get these issues on the pitch, because for me, Casemiro, for Real Madrid, Casemiro was unique in that way, and that's something that Tchouaméni will have to learn in the next years. You're not gonna tell Tchouaméni to be just like Casemiro, because Tchouaméni is different. He's a different player from a different country. He's, for me, even better than Casemiro because he attacks even more, and he's more like a box to box, depending on the moment of the game. So that's why he will have to learn that, non-football language, to talk to the referees and to talk to the rivals, because in that way Casemiro was so experienced and so good at that, because after that all the fans here in Spain would say, my God, Casemiro is leaving Real Madrid with only 2 red cards, and both red cards were just after 2 yellow cards. I mean, no red card direct for Casemiro, and he was a really hard midfield.
Yeah.
So that's why we were all like, okay, my God, Casemiro has to learn that out of, Real Madrid or their coaches. So that's why he still has plenty of time to do that.
He does indeed. Well, as if Real Madrid weren't impressive enough, even without Casemiro, someone else who we definitely have to talk about, and I know everyone feels like they talk about him, but Vinny Jr., let us stick a pin on that man. I just love watching him, and I love watching him pitch side. I know everybody can't be in the positions that we get to see it, but it's just the pace and the flair that he does play football with is just on. It never fails to amaze me. And I know that sometimes you would say it's not really a good thing because it opens defenders to come after him. Sometimes you waste too much time with the Joga Bonito. But one interesting stat about Vinny Jr. is that he has never for Real Madrid scored in 3 consecutive matches. Never done that since he was 16 years old, which honestly wasn't that long ago. But he was still playing in Brazil. And now he's done that this season in La Liga. And what I want to say is I may just throw and be devil's advocate here, because throughout this entire season so far, we've been talking about, the race for the Pichichi, and is it going to be Benzema versus Lewandowski? But Vinny Jr. now, is he looking more consistent to you and fully coming into his own? We know he was really impressive last season, but we spoke about certain aspects of his game where he fully needed to mature, which would come with time. We also spoke about how he needed to be more of a presence, especially when Benzema was out, because sometimes he looked lost when he didn't have him to link up with. But now he seems to have hit another level. And do you think we should be talking about maybe Benzema, Vinny Jr. versus Lewandowski for this Pichichi?
I think that both Benzema and Vinicius will be far away from Lewandowski because, the way he scores and the way the Barca creates chances in order Lewandowski to score, I think it's going to be by the end of the season very difficult to get to that level. But there was an interesting debate in Spain these days, because some people in Spain would see Vinicius, since 1 year ago, in which for me was the key point of his career, to say, okay, I'm going to prove why Real Madrid paid that much money for me. And he changed his mind. He changed the way he finalizes in the pitch.
Yeah.
And I think since then, he has improved a lot. He has grown up a lot. And there was a debate saying, like, is Vinicius now ready to face and to get into the top 5 players worldwide? And I was like, okay, for me, maybe he's not top 5 in that top 5 list of players worldwide, but he could face any of those players in some different games. I think that he's really quick. He's really fast. Now he scores a lot of goals. He's learning, the way to play with Benzema, because, the way they play together is something great. It's something even that we couldn't imagine 2-3 years ago. And I think that maybe he's not in that top 5 list, but he's in the top 10 list for sure. And he's going to be improving a lot in the next months. And I don't know if by the end of the season he will be in that top 5, but at least he will be up there in a couple of years, because he deserves, and he's proving that he's good enough to be up there.
He's still, quite young. I mean, especially if you do compare him to Benzema. So time is on his side as well to mature. And I mean, it's just seeing him, get to a point where you find that you can't replace him. You almost don't want to take him off the pitch, there.
Imagine, for example, that Real Madrid signed Mbappe.
Yeah.
What would happen? What would have happened with Vinicius? He would switch the side and he would play for the right wing, but it wouldn't be the same.
But then, which is crazy too, because you think of, and we speak to so many of obviously our analysts, like when we're there pitch side, everyone knows like Luis Garcia, and Luis always says that for him, Valverde has become such an important player for Real Madrid as well. And you look at that front 3 now, and you think if Mbappe were there, how things would have changed. And that's what we're saying now. I think instead of relying on big names, which Real Madrid do have, let's be honest, but they also have the big names, but they are also becoming more of a complete squad, a complete team that knows each other, understands each other's roles, and they're working in that perfect harmony, which I think is something that I personally have seen with Liverpool. And the only team I've seen like that in the last couple of years has been Liverpool, where they have that perfect harmony no matter what. And I think now I've definitely seen it with Real Madrid, and that's going to be a massive, I suppose, plus this season, because like I said, busy season, especially with World Cup. If Real Madrid are going to want to win everything and more that they won last season, which of course they're going to want to. We saw even towards the end last year where they were getting tired on certain occasions, but they still managed to win somehow, especially against the likes of City and Liverpool in the Champions League. But Real Madrid definitely becoming, you know, this superpower, as if they weren't already a superpower, but even more so, almost an unbeatable superpower. So brings me to my next question. Who realistically looks like they can stop Real Madrid anytime soon? I mean, if we look at their next couple of matches, they've got Mallorca at home, will be there again. Then it's the Madrid derby, will be there as well. A bit more eyes on that. Hopefully, if Atletico de Madrid can really, you know, provide that competition. Yes, they did get to win it last year, but again, it was when Madrid had already wrapped up the title. They had their eye on the Champions League final. Then they've got Osasuna at home, Getafe away, and then El Clásico. So which of these teams can really, really stop Real Madrid, do you think, Rodri?
Atletico de Madrid game will be the key moment for Real Madrid to say, okay, we are ready for this or we are not. Because now they're playing against Betis home, which is a difficult game. They played Celta Vigo away, which is a difficult game. But at the point of the season that we are at, I think it's not enough for Real Madrid to say if they are ready to be unbeatable this season. For me, they are the main contenders, the main favorite to win La Liga, because the block that they managed to get is incredibly effective, you know, and I'm talking about defensive or attacking ways, because, you know, you see them attacking at the same time, defending, all of them. Yeah. And this is something that only Real Madrid could make in this La Liga, because if you compare that team to Barcelona, you would say, okay, Barca is up there, and I'm sure the Xavi side will be up there fighting against Real Madrid till the end of the season. But for me, they are still not ready in some key positions of their squad. So that's why for me, Real Madrid, if they believe in themselves and if they believe that they can get what they achieved last season, they're going to be out there for sure. But if you ask me a key point for me, that derby against Atletico Madrid would be the key moment to see if Real Madrid will be again up there, unbeatable, and the guy to win, you know, in this La Liga, because, you know, they are so good now.
They are so good now. It really is hard to choose against them. But as we said, hopefully Atletico de Madrid do get things together to at least provide a very competitive match, because I think that will be, respectfully, Real Madrid's first biggest test of the season so far. And then if they pass that with flying colors as they have, then Barcelona will definitely have their hands full, because this first Clásico is going to be at the Bernabeu. So, and that's one other thing, Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, oh my days, next level as well. So let's move on then to Barcelona quickly, because again, 3-0 over Sevilla. Even though we know Sevilla's problems as well, it was still such an impressive win for Barcelona. Barcelona, who have been impressing us really and truly. I saw a nice question, I suppose, that was posed to Xavi about how would he compare his team and what he's trying to do at Barcelona to the Barca teams that he knows so well under Luis Enrique and Pep Guardiola, because let's be honest, that's what we will forever compare any Barcelona team to, you know, and Xavi played such a big part in that success as well. And he said, honestly, that right now what he wants his team to do is to control and dominate games. And so far, that kind of seems like it is what they have been doing. So from you see what this Barcelona is trying to do, do they give you flashbacks of these iconic Barcelona teams?
That's difficult, but the good thing of all is that they got their self-confidence back, which is something that they didn't have last year or even 2 years ago, you know, when the Messi issue trying to get to Man City. You know, after last season, I think they learned about so many fails that Barca had as a club, that now they are trying to say, okay, we're going to make this even better. We're going to try to be, you know, as Barcelona used to be when Guardiola was at the bench or Tito. And now I think they believe in themselves. And I think they managed during all the summer transfer window to say, okay, this is something that in May or in April, we couldn't imagine. And now we are back there. We're trying to get, and we're signing good players like Koundé, like Rafinha. I mean,
against all odds.
Yeah, you stole Rafinha from Chelsea, which is something that we couldn't imagine back in April.
Yeah, you still Koundé from Chelsea. Imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, imagine good
managed
things,
to hold on to Frankie de Jong, even though, of course, Man United were willing to pay an okay amount to him. It's amazing. I mean, Barcelona,
but once you did it, I mean, you have to prove now that all the efforts that the sporting direction or the board of Football Club Barcelona made, now you have to prove that all those efforts are going to be valid and positive for the team. And now, remember when we made the first podcast of this season, when I told you, Alexis, like, okay, Barca needs to win, because if they doesn't win after first game draw against Rayo Vallecano, you know, there are going to be some rumors, some rum, as we say here in Spain, around Xavi, like maybe they've prepared the team, but maybe Xavi's not prepared. He's not ready for that level. So that's why
he's quite young in his career.
Yeah, I mean, he's another debut guy for Barcelona's bench, because now he has time to say, okay, I have to grow a little bit more by, right after who were coaching last season. I think Xavi would be at that level and even higher. And he's proved that he has improved the team, which is something good for Barca. And I think that if he manages by the end of the season to grow with the team, he would be an amazing coach for Barca.
Definitely. And I mean, two things about Barca that have recently impressed, of course, is the defense, and then the youth players that have come up from La Masia, which we will always trust. We'll get to the youth players in a bit, but that defense, which literally had been, such an Achilles heel for them. Now, I know we talk about Lewandowski and all his goals, and let's be honest, if we talk about Barcelona and their style of football, it's all about the attack that we've fallen in love with over the last couple of years. But defensively, they're onto something special, aren't they?
True. I mean, you got players that you didn't have last season. And even, you talk about Koundé, you talk about Christensen, those are Barca-style players and Barca-style defenders, which is something great that Barca needed. But apart from that, you got Eric Garcia. The beginning of this season for Eric Garcia, when he was swallowing all this criticism from last season, and now watching him, at his best, like saying, I'm here and I'm going to be here for the next 10 years. Yeah. And this is something which for me are positive news for Barca, for Xavi, and even for Eric, because this is going to make the defensive line of Barca even better, and they're going to compete against themselves, which I think is going to higher even the level that they have back there.
Yeah, and then for everyone that doesn't know, obviously I live in the UK, and every time I come back from a La Liga weekend where I've done Barcelona, the number one question so many people ask me when they say, which match did you do? And I say, Barcelona. People here always go, God, how good is that young boy Pedri? And I say, oh my days, don't get me started. Everyone here, at least in the UK, I mean, a lot of clubs will be keeping, their eyes on him for sure. But we know that Pedri, in his heart, is Barcelona through and through. But he, as well as Gavi, how impressive as a duo have they been? Are they giving you flashbacks of, the man himself, Xavi Iniesta?
Pedri is 19 years old. This is the good thing of all. I mean, and if you compare Pedri to Xavi or Iniesta,
but he seems so mature.
They, at that age. And now he's starting 11, and no one will keep him off the starting 11 forever in Barca. I mean, only he will be the one to say, I'm going to be out of this because maybe my performances are not good as they used to be, whatever. But it will be only his fault because he has everything to succeed at Barca. I mean, he has the mind, the view of the games that no one has. I mean, and the good thing of all is that he's improving his physical, because this is something that all the people say, like, no, he's very tiny, or he's very thin for this European football. But no, he's improved a lot since last year, and this is something good because
this is growing. Come on,
still
so young.
19 years old. This is something crazy.
We were barely finishing our homework at his age.
It's just like Camavinga or Tchouaméni, they are so young, but they have so bright future for Barca, Real Madrid, you know, that this is something great for La Liga.
Camavinga, I know we're obviously throwing it back to Real Madrid quickly in a Barca segment. That's probably sacrilegious, but Camavinga is one that still surprises me to think that he's still a teenager until November. And this man has just come in and scores on debut, wins the title, and then wins the Champions League. So much experience. He plays like an experienced player, which is how Pedri plays. You know, Pedri, I think, had to be thrown into the deep end, of course, with all the issues that Barcelona were suffering. They had to rely on the youngsters more often than not. I think that that's what Xavi has done perfectly, has given them just the right amount of responsibility. We talk about man management so much, and I think Xavi, you know, given the fact that he's quite younger and he is so big a part of the DNA at Barcelona, I think he has managed those youngsters coming up from La Masia so perfectly as well. And Pedri is just, oh my days, so good to watch. Like his ceiling, I don't even know what his ceiling is, because I hope he does continue on that path, because I think we'll definitely be seeing
he's perfect.
An amazing
Believe me,
player.
He's perfect. And he's going to be a massive player for Barca and a massive player for Spain's national team, which is the good news of all.
Exactly, definitely. Right, well, let's get into Preguntas Difíciles then. Difficult questions. Remember, you guys can send in these difficult questions using the hashtag LaLigaCentro whenever. Some interesting ones today. The first one, and I mean, why not? Because you know I am all aboard the Lewandowski Express. Rodrigo confessed today that he's in love with him. And look, we're only human. What's not to love about Lewy? But he will score 40 plus goals this season. Can you make a case for that?
Sure, he will. I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will. I mean, no, sure. I mean, there's no doubt for me that he will make it.
40 plus.
Yeah. Why not? I mean,
yeah, right. Why not?
If you look in every game, not only what he scores, but also the chances that Barca creates in every game. Right. This is something that makes me think about that he's gonna make that record-breaking number of goals.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
He's going to play Copa del Rey, he's going to play La Liga, and he's going to play Champions League. 3 competitions, and he's more than able, because he proved before that he's able to do that. So why not?
You know, you can't tell me anything bad about Lewy. Next one, AtleticoMadrid won't finish in the top 4.
No way.
They have to.
No way. For me, I mean, look back at what they did last season. It was the worst season.
But that was also helped, I think, by the self-destruction of Sevilla and Betis alike.
Yeah, but it's different.
I think a lot of them benefited from that, because let's be honest, Atletico de Madrid were woeful towards the end of the season as well.
Yeah,
the second half of the season. And I think something horrible, we spoke about the 2 dips that Betis and Sevilla had. And I think that's what really helped Atleti more so than Atleti.
Yes, but at the end, you have to say, and you have to think about what Atletico Madrid has in their in his squad. And they have João Felix, Griezmann, Morata, Correa, Mateus Cunha. Yeah. I mean, they have 5 top players, top strikers. And if you see the rest of the lines are the same. I mean, they have to do it very, 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 very bad. It has to be an historic disaster not to be at the top 4 by the end of the season. Look, if you look back to last season, it was the worst season that I remember by Simeone, and they managed to get 3rd. So that's why they're going to be out there for
looking at the squads now and their form, what if we just say, hypothetically speaking, Sevilla and Betis have a good season like how they started last year? Would you see them in a better position than Atletico de Madrid?
No, because there will be some points of the season in which they will have a lack of quality or even a lack of good players, and Atletico Madrid have those players. That's why I find it really difficult.
All right, fair play. I kind of agree with you there. Are Villarreal the real deal? I mean, this is a question that I think we've been asking for ages now, because Villarreal always flirts with, I suppose, glory on the biggest stage, which they've gotten glory on the biggest stage. I definitely know that all too well, following Manchester United. But the real deal to be a contender, I would say, in La Liga.
I don't know if they will be a main contender, because for me, they had so great players to sign in this summer window transfer, but finally they couldn't manage to sign them. So that's why for me, it's a really similar team that they had last season. So that's why for me, they're going to be up there for sure. I'm pretty sure that they're going to fight for Europe League or Champions League positions. But for me, they don't have enough team to face Atletico Madrid, Barca, or Real Madrid. For me, they are a couple of steps behind.
Yeah, that's true indeed. It's just that thing. It's just getting teams like
It'd
the
be great.
Sevillas, like the Betis, like of course the Real Sociedad, Athletic Club, to be able to sign players like Real Madrid and Barca enjoy signing. And then I think we'd have a whole different league as well. But speaking of the league, Real Madrid will go unbeaten in La Liga this season. Unbeaten.
Do you
so
believe
they can
that?
draw. They can draw. We could have a draw in El Clasico. You never know, because right now we're foreseeing that to be their most difficult match. But could we have an invincible Real Madrid this season?
It'd
This
be
is
great
in La Liga, because obviously
Yeah.
they lose elsewhere.
I remember those unbeatable gunners from Arsene Wenger's
The
at Arsenal.
Invincibles, exactly.
You know, the things that I find it really difficult, because you're going to face twice Atletico Madrid, you're going to face twice Barcelona, you're going to have, you know, any bad days against Villarreal or against Betis or against Sevilla. And this is really difficult. But I'm going to say one thing. Why not? They have Courtois.
I mean, the way they're going.
Yeah,
The
they
way they're
improved in
going.
the defense line, so that's why. I mean,
I
why
see
not?
this time and time again, and I remember coming back after what happened in the Champions League against City, after how they beat Liverpool, even though everyone was like, "Oh, Liverpool's a better team." Yeah, sure, Liverpool played better. Yeah, sure. But Real Madrid know how to win at all costs. They know how to win pretty. They know how to win ugly. They know how to let you think you're controlling the game and then just look for that one little opportunity and then take it, as they did in the final against Liverpool. They just know how to win. They know how to bide their time. They don't panic. They don't try to do too much. They know their strengths and they know their weaknesses, I think, as well. And they know how to manage it. And with someone like Don Carlo,
imagine this podcast, you know, this last podcast in this La Liga, talking about how unbeatable are Real Madrid and Barcelona, and depending on the draws, one of them are going to win La Liga. Could you imagine that? It would be great.
It would be great, actually. It would be actually really great. But yeah, as Rodrigo says, why not? I mean, it's now, because of this sudden emergence of Barcelona, I am throwing a couple of eggs in that basket just because I think that they can. And look, we even saw Barcelona finally, when Xavi come in, go to the Bernabeu and absolutely dismantle Real Madrid. That was a very odd game, you know, I suppose. But still, I think if it happens, would we be surprised? No. But let's put it that way. Would we be surprised? Absolutely not. And then finally, apart from Lewandowski, lol, who is Barcelona's most important new signing?
I would say Dembele.
I was just going to say that. I know it's not new, but obviously renewed.
Well,
I was
in
going to say
fact,
Dembele.
It's not a renewal, it's a signing, because he ended his contract with Barca. But I'm going to say Koundé, because he's a new face, a brand new face in Barcelona. And they struggle a lot to sign him because, you know, Chelsea was in between them. In fact, he was going to sign for Chelsea, but at the end, Xavi got his phone and called him and convinced him like he was going to be very important. And he's proved in this past game against Sevilla that he's really important, and he's one of the guys to watch this season. Because the good thing of Koundé is that he has experience, despite the fact that he's really young. And the good, for me, the best thing is that he can play as a right back or as a central back, which makes Xavi to have so many better options than last year. That makes him, for me, the one to watch in Barca this year.
I'm going to stick with Dembele for sure. I think anyone that's watched our coverage as well so far this season, you know, you've heard myself and Luis Garcia just wax lyrical about Dembele and how a renewed happy Dembele at Barcelona is just an absolute revelation. We always knew his quality, and now he's put it completely on show. I mean, we know the flair and the beauty and the sexy football that we've come to know and love at Barcelona. But I think Dembele just adds that extra little grit, that nice physicality as well that you need. And you're going to need when you're coming up, not just against opposition in La Liga, but actually for the other competitions where they meet different styles of play from different leagues as well. And I think Dembele is just, he's one of those X factor players that brings a little something extra. Yes, it's nice to have everyone on the same page, all under a same style, but every now and again you throw in a little bit of extra spice.
He's different.
And I like Dembele for that. He's absolutely brilliant. Well, that's a wrap for us then. We're gonna be out like bean sprouts now. Thanks to everyone for tuning into this edition of LaLiga Centro. We're gonna be back on September 21st. Look out for it. And please continue to watch La Liga on ESPN. I'll be there for back-to-back match days this weekend in Madrid. Atletico de Madrid first up against Celta de Vigo. That's going to be a good one. And then Real Madrid probably to continue their winning ways on their way to what we're maybe expecting an invincible season against Mallorca on Sunday. That's actually an early kickoff. So wake up early for it because the rest of us have to. Rodrigo's going to be living it up in Qatar. So we'll definitely catch up soon. And
wake up early or don't go to bed. Whatever.
Or don't go to bed.
Choose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go change my flowers because they literally are.
Yeah, I'm gonna change my flowers too.
Yeah. Anyways, ciao.
Ciao.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis, and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.